Hey guys, it's Krista coming to you on video this month since I am out of town. I appreciate you guys letting me do this and willing to do it on the video. I promise hopefully this will go smoothly and everything will be great and you guys are going to really enjoy this. I really enjoyed this month's lesson. It came from a place that I didn't really know much about, and the more I dove into it, the more I learned, and it was a wonderful study for me. So I really appreciated that, and I hope you guys get a lot out of it too. So let me open us up in prayer, and we will get started. Lord Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together through the web and giving us a chance to get creative with you in a way that some of us, it may be new to us or it may be old to us, but in a way that is very much personal, giving us a way to just connect with you. Lord, I ask that you come down and sit with us during this time, that you speak through me, that I only speak your words, and that today we have a wonderful time together. Amen. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. I did print some notes, so if you don't have the notes or if you are watching this not in the studio, some of my students have been taking these classes from me for months, and I'm recording this and putting it on my YouTube channel. Those who have been following me for years know that I haven't posted in a long time, probably a year or more. So I'm excited to offer this to other people as well. I will include links. They will not be tonight. They will be in a couple of weeks. I will include links to be able to print the study material and our printable for tonight and stuff. Or this morning if you're watching it at the studio. I will include those links later. They will not be included in the first couple of weeks. If y'all haven't seen them in a couple of weeks, let me know, and I may have forgotten, and I'll get them on there for you guys because I really want y'all to have it. But if you are in the studio Monday morning watching this with me, I printed some notes for you guys. If you don't have them, they're probably on the printer. Go get them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So this month, this year, we're talking about the Jesus. Who is this Jesus? We're on a journey through the Old Testament. We're going to carry all the way through the New Testament. So right now we're still in the Old Testament. We're looking at the prophecies, and we're also looking at some of the New Testament and referencing that back to the Old Testament. So that's really what is happening today. So far, we've talked about Bethlehem and the importance of that. We've talked about being a son of Abraham, that Jesus, was part of that lineage and what it meant to be a son of Abraham. And so tonight, we're going to talk about the son of David, because Jesus is referred to as the son of David. And why is that important? Why is that significant? And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we are going to start actually at the end. We're going to start at the end of our Bible. We're going to jump over to Revelation 22:16. So jump over to Revelations 22:16. It's literally the last page of the Bible. I love this. I love, in my study, I found this verse and I was like, oh my gosh, that is at the end of the Bible, the end of the written word. It's not the end of the story, but it's the end of this story. It's the end of the written word. And I love how it just kind of blankets the whole thing together. So I want to start at the end. So we're going to start in Revelations 22, verse 16. Typically in my class, I would ask somebody to read out loud, but I'm going to go ahead and read for us through this lesson. So Revelation 22:16, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you about these things for the churches. I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright morning star. If you're reading in ESV, that is the ESV version. There are a few other versions of that. It might, the translation may change a little bit, but the words are still the same. So it is Jesus, I, Jesus. So it's Jesus talking here. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you about these things for the churches. I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright morning star. We're going to pause right there. We're going to circle back to that at the end. Okay. So we've read that. Now we're going to hop over to Matthew 1:1. That wasn't an accident. It's Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. And those who took my lesson last month, that were in class last month, already know this verse. We actually talked about it when we talked about the son of Abraham. It is the very first verse of the New Testament. So Matthew 1:1, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. All right. So we have Matthew 1:1, the book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. In just 15 words, the very first 15 words of the New Testament, we learn that Jesus was Jewish. We learn that he was a real man that lived during a specific time, and that he descended from the royal line of King David. Any first century Jewish person would have known the phrases son of David. They would have continued to say it over and over and over again. So it hinted at their coming king and Messiah. It was a prophecy. Okay, it was fulfilling that prophecy. Primarily, the title son of David is more of a statement of physical genealogy. It is a messianic title. When people referred to Jesus as the son of David, that meant that he was the long-awaited deliverer, the fulfillment of the Old Testament and the fulfillment of his covenant with David. So he had this covenant with Abraham, and he had this covenant with David. So we're going to actually hop over to our verse today, where we're going to be studying Isaiah 9, 6, and 7. Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7. And you've heard this verse 1,000 times. Isaiah 9, verses 6 and 7. So, for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. For a different version of this, it says, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and uphold it for the justice and for the righteousness from their time forevermore. Actually, I think, sorry, that was a accident. Same version. There are other translations of that. But basically, in Isaiah, he's talking about Jesus coming. He's laying down the prophecy here. He's talking about that Jesus will come, that Jesus will reign over the throne of David. So David's throne is going to continue, his kingdom is going to continue, but the Messiah is going to come and reign over that throne. So when they start referencing Son of David in the New Testament, they are saying that that the Messiah is fulfilling that prophecy from Isaiah, that he will be he will rule over David's kingdom. He will be a descendant of David, and he will rule over David's kingdom. This is fulfilled. So we've talked about the prophecy. Prophecy is in Isaiah 9:7. Now we're going to look at the fulfillment. So flip over to Luke 1. Luke 1, verses 31 and 32. All right. Luke 1, verses 31 and 32. we have, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will call his name Jesus. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there will be no end. So again, they're in Isaiah, it says, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it from their time forth and forevermore. So basically forever and ever. In Luke 1, it says, the Lord will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there will be no end. So, the angel is talking to Mary here, and he's telling her, you're going to bear the Messiah, the one who's been prophesied. Mary was a Jewish girl, so she would have known the Old Testament. She would have known the prophecy. She would have believed in the prophecy. And so this is just the angel telling her what's going to happen, but also confirming with her that what is happening is real, that this is not a joke, that this is not an illusion, that what she is feeling is real and what she is hearing is real, because he is telling her stories, telling her the prophecy of what she grew up hearing. She would have known this story very well. She would have known this prophecy very well. And so he's talking to her and telling her, this child that you're going to bear will be from the throne of David, or will rule over the throne of David forevermore. So he's restating the prophecy from the Old Testament. And this just confirms to her that this is real. Because I'm sure as a 15-year-old girl, she's like, I must be hallucinating. But to hear this person confirm the prophecies that she was probably raised in and knew thoroughly is just mind-boggling, And so Mary says to the angel, how will this be since I'm a virgin? She doesn't question whether she's giving birth to Jesus or not. She doesn't question whether it will be the Messiah or not. That's not what she questions. She just questions the science of it. She's like, I'm a virgin. How am I going to have a baby? She doesn't question the Messiah part of it. And I love that about her. I love that about this story, is that about this history, is that that Mary 100% believed it. She just wanted to know the science part of it. You know what I mean? So I found that really cool. So we've got the prophecy in Isaiah 9:7, and we've got the fulfillment here. Jesus was addressed as Lord, the Son of David, all throughout, several times, by people who by faith were seeking mercy of healing. The titles of honor they gave him declared their faith in him, calling him Lord, expressed their sense of his deity and dominion and power, but calling him Son of David expressed their faith that he was the Messiah. Okay, so I just really love that. So let's circle back to what we started at the beginning, because I love this. This is just something that I found fascinating. So we're going to go back to Revelation 22:16. So Revelation 22:16, it says, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you about these things of the churches. I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright morning star. He is not just the descendant of David. He is the root. He was the creator of David, because Jesus is God. He's part of that Trinity, and God created David. So Jesus came before David. David is a descendant of Adam, which was created by God. But Jesus is that root of it, but he's also the descendant of it. So he's the beginning and the end. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's I loved how it was like parentheses. I loved that. I love parentheses because they look like little hugs. But he just kind of blankets that's how important being the Son of David is that I'm the beginning and I'm the end of one of the greatest kings in our history. And so I just loved that. That was one of my favorite parts of this whole study about being the son of David and what that meant as the Messiah. This isn't necessarily a study of who Jesus was. We know who Jesus was, but just the fact that every Jewish person knew what the son of David meant. They knew that the Messiah was going to come from the line of David. They also knew that he was going to rule over David's kingdom forevermore. So I just loved that. So this is one of my favorite lessons that I've ever studied and prepared for. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, I printed notes for you guys so that if you because typically I give references a lot and stuff like that, and I'm there, but since I'm not going to be there to be able to help you with your references and you don't have to continue to go back and forth on this lesson, I went ahead and printed up the notes for you. And then we will get to the artistic part. Okay, so if you're not ready for the artistic part, just pause this, gather a couple of supplies. You're going to need, if you're in the studio, I have left a package of napkins. We're going to do napkin decoupaging today. So you're going to need a napkin, just one. There's a package of them. I will leave these on Cassie's desk for Monday morning. You're also going to need Mod Podge. This is also Cassie's desk. And then you're going to need a couple of foam brushes for that. And you're going to need a heat gun. And then and you'll also need a piece of scratch paper to protect your papers. I'm going to be doing my art in Isaiah 9:7. So I'm going to flip over to that, and that's where I'm going to put my scratch paper for the to protect it for this. And I'm going to walk you guys through this step. I couldn't find my tripod where I could put my camera above my Bible, but I'm going to show you guys, and then I'll pick up my Bible and show it to you guys so y'all can see what we're doing. It's a very easy art process. Those who are online, the second part of this, once you get the decoupaging done, so you could do this with any napkin. We have this little quote here. Not quote, it's a verse. It says, "He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom," which is Isaiah 9:7 and also Luke 1:32. So that's why I didn't put the verse down here. That way, if you wanted to do it in Isaiah, you could, or if you wanted to do it in Luke or wherever you wanted to do it, you have this. You could also do it in Revelation on the very last page of the Bible. So you could do it anywhere you wanted to. So I'm going to show you guys how to decoupage your Bibles. If you're not ready yet, go ahead and pause this video, gather your supplies, and then come back and meet with me. All right, so we have our napkins. The first thing you're going to do, let me find my napkin. Here it is. The first thing you're going to do is open your napkin. Okay, open it all the way up, and you're going to separate your pieces. So we have lots of layers here. We're going to separate. There should be at least 3 layers, I believe. So you're going to get all the way down to that first layer. And this is kind of difficult. I already pulled off one of my layers. I thought I had this prepped. Oh, here it is. I did have it prepped. Okay. So you're going to be very careful and you're going to tear it. You're going to separate the 2 pieces. Okay? 3 pieces. Okay? I already pulled off 1 piece earlier and then I stopped because I wanted to make sure that you guys saw me do that. So when you get that done, it's going to be very sheer because you've just got 1 layer of this. If you have multiple layers, then your Bible, when you go to decoupage this, it's going to bubble up and it's going to cause a lot of other issues. So you want to make sure you're down to that single layer. Okay, it's almost like tissue paper when you get down to that single layer. Next, you're going to pick You can just do one section or you can do multiple sections. I'm not going to use scissors. I'm just going to tear, because everything that is like this cream color will not be able to be seen once we start decoupaging. You won't see that. So I'm just going to take this and start tearing it along my roses. So I'm tearing it along the roses, tearing those out. All right. So I'm doing mine on Isaiah 9:7, because 6 is at the bottom of the first page and then 7 is at the top of the next page. So I'm doing mine on Isaiah 9:7 because I want to save 9:6 for another verse in the future. So I'm going to do this back here. So what you're going to do is take your rose and you're going to figure out where you're going to position it on your Bible. Let me pick this up. So you're going to figure out where you want to position this. If you don't want to cover words, then you could either trim this back a little further, or you could just move this over to where it's not blocking any words. Anything that is not decoupaged to the page can get cut off. So don't worry about that, but just figure out where you want that to kind of fit, okay? Once you figure out where you're going to fit, you're going to Mod Podge it to your page. It's just like decoupaging anything else. You do want to be very careful. This can tear very easily. So you want to be very gentle with the brush. Don't push real hard because you can just tear it. And you always want to work from the napkin outwards and stuff. So instead of from the page going over the napkin, you want to work from the napkin outwards. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So I'm going to just position this where I would like it. And I'm going to decoupage it down. So I've got my paper protecting my other pages of my Bible. I'm going to put down a thin layer of Mod Podge. You do not need to gesso your page before you do this. This is basically gessoing your page. So I'm going to do it all over the area that I'm going to be writing. So I'm not doing it over the whole page. I'm just kind of doing it in the area that I would be writing. And I'm going to, so I've got the the Mod Podge down. I'm going to position my napkin exactly where I want it. There we go. And then I'm going to very gently put the Mod Podge over the top of it to seal it in. And so I'm just pushing very, very gently, making sure that I have a nice coat of the Mod Podge over the whole napkin. Okay. Very importantly, you want to make sure that before you heat dry this, so I've got it decoupaged on there. Before I heat dry, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to kind of separate it out, because if I dry that with my paper exactly where it was, it's going to stick and then it's going to tear my page when I go to take it off. So all I did was pull it out so that the sticky part is way out here and not underneath this. So now I'm going to dry this with a heat gun. And I'm going to pause this while I do it so that y'all don't have to listen to that. Okay, so I finished drying it. I did dry front and back, so be sure you dry the front and back. I'm going to take a pair of scissors. So I've got it dried. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and cut off the excess that's on from the back side. So I flipped over my page so that I could follow it from the back side, and I'm going to cut off all the excess. This works really well if you have a nice sharp pair of scissors. All right. So now, once you finish cutting off the excess, it's going to look something similar to that. Now, I could take, if I wanted to, I have plenty of napkin left. I could add some flowers like over on this side. So you could totally do that. I think that that would be really pretty. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of these roses down here, I believe. Yep. Okay. I'm going to cut a nice straight line so that I can get it down in the seam between the pages. So basically, tear all this off. Okay, so I've got a nice straight edge, and I'm going to decoupage this right here. Okay, so I'm going to just do that real fast. All right, so I have that dried front and back. And that's what it looks like. So pretty. Okay. Be sure you're moving the heat gun around while you're heat drying this, because Mod Podge can burn really fast and really easy. Okay, so now I've got that done. I'm just going to push some stuff off to the side here. I grabbed a black marker, and I'm going to take my my quote here. So each person should get, it's not a quote, it's a verse. Each person's going to get a verse. Okay. And what you're going to do is take the light pad. If you're in the studio, we have a couple of them in the drawer. It's the same thing we use for the diamond dots. And you're going to place your light pad behind your page, and then put your paper, see if I can do this. Okay. You're going to put your little paper behind here and position it until you can see where you want it. Okay, so then you're going to take that and trace it with your black pen or your black marker. Okay, so I've got it all lined up now, and I'm going to use my black marker to trace that. You could do it with pencil and then use black marker. I'm just going to go straight black marker. Okay. So keep in mind when you write on napkins, sometimes it will run. So keep that in mind. Okay, now that I've got it done, I'm going to turn off my light and pull that out and then use my pen to clean things up that may have been obscured with the light in the background. So I'm just cleaning a few things up. There we go. And I'm going to write my verse on here, Isaiah 9:7, but I'm also going to reference Luke 1:36 or 32. Luke 1:32. And I'm also going to reference Revelations 22:16. So I have that all referenced here. And you can see, beautiful page. Beautiful page, and it wasn't very hard. We let the napkin do most of the work, all of the artwork and stuff that's on here. And of course, if you didn't take the class in the studio, you can use any napkin. But I just went with something that had some really pretty flowers. And we have this beautiful, beautiful page. Okay, so if you are taking this in the studio, like I said, you'll have all your printables. All your supplies will be left on Cassie's desk. And so if you need anything else, then you'll know where to find it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Those who are not in the studio, I'll have those printable links up for you very soon. And you'll be able to get those down in the notes section. So thank you guys for joining me. I am so very grateful that y'all let me do this online. And we will see you guys. Hopefully I'll see a couple of y'all tomorrow, but if not, I will see you on Friday. All right, we'll see you later. Thanks.